Today's video is all about Walrus, enabling data markets for the AI era. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals such as the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is Walrus an opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive today. We're going to be doing a deep dive, obviously, into Walrus, trying to figure out its overall details in order for us to become fundamentally bullish. Guys, we're going to be taking a retail perspective. What does that mean? That means that we're going to be getting into the retailer's shoes, in the sense that we're going to be doing research and we're going to be looking for some of the details here. And what's most important is if the team is giving us all the details that we need to get bullish here, because ultimately fundamentals are important. We know how important they are so that we can, scale into projects with confidence. And the only way to really do that is to make sure the documentation and all the communication from the team is provided as effectively, as transparently, and as widespread as possible, because reach is very, very important. Now, what I like to see is a project that is well established with regards to its communications, a GitHub, a Gitbook, sorry, and so on and so forth. But we're going to begin by looking at the website. We're going to use the website as our main platform. So let's scroll right through here to see what they got. Requests for proposals. Okay, we got, this is not the main page. Let me get to the main page. It's right here. Enabling markets for the AI era. Walrus is where the world's data becomes reliable, valuable, and governable. So this is pretty good. It's a data play, so it could be considered DeepIn. It could be considered infra. It could obviously storage. This is a very, very good narrative. It's a narrative of which we've seen it cool down in the last little while, but in the most recent days, we've seen a bit of a surge with regards to decentralized storage. So it could be a good thing for Walrus, and we obviously seeing the AI narrative pick up as well. Basically, Walrus have some potential narrative-wise, and in addition, we are waiting for Sui to also wake up here, because Walrus is a project built on Sui. Okay, so let's begin. We got the docs. I got some tabs already open for you guys, so let's just stick with the main page for now. Pretty good marketing, you got to admit. It's nice and clean. It is very engaging, and you got to admit it has a bit of that meme marketing tactic. Is that a positive thing? I'm on the fence about it, to be honest. It's tastefully done. It's not overdone, but we know that the meme marketing, it works when it works, but when it doesn't, it's horrible. This is the thing. It's great for rallying up individuals, having a good laugh, and rallying up community and so on. But once that gets old and it gets stale, this type of marketing is not going to last. And we've seen that in previous cycles when we had all the food based marketing and all that kind of stuff, and eventually that all fizzled away. And right now, for those of us that have been around, whenever we see any food based type of projects, like DeFi projects that are based on food, it's basically frowned upon right now. I don't really appreciate it. So marketing is important. And in this case, I felt like they kind of went on with that meme coin marketing. But the good news is fun is fun. It's engaging. The color choice and everything is very good. So you know what? Let's stick with it. It's very tasteful. So I appreciate it so far. Who's building Walrus? This is a good one. That's a good question, and we're going to be talking about in a second. Now, although this is who's building Walrus, I think what they're trying to say here is what projects are built on or within Walrus, as far as its integrations. I would say that at this current moment, there's a little bit more detail that needs to be discussed, and we'll definitely discuss who is building Walrus and who is behind Walrus. Logos, they don't do it for me, guys. Logos are just there scrolling through. Let's see if we can click any of these. Oh, they work. Oh, that's rare. So kudos to the Walrus team for actually making some of these work. But what would be better instead of taking me to their website, it would be pretty cool to maybe take me to a blog post that describes exactly what these individuals are all about and what they're doing. That would be pretty cool, to be honest, to actually make this full circle and their how can I say, what is their involvement with Walrus? That would be great. Securing systems from input to output. Okay, Walrus, discover Walrus with ultimate deployment platform built on SUI. Okay, right size, right price, always reliable, lightning fast, provable. Okay, let's just kind of scroll up here, enabling data markets for the AI. Okay, Walrus is developer platform that enables to monetize and verify your data. Okay, so we understand it's data, and then we get right into here, and it says secure systems from input to output. Okay, um, the whole process, the IPO, I get it. I'm trying to make sense of what their main value proposition is. I understand what their main value proposition, but what's important here is that are they communicating effectively? Discover Walrus with the utility with ultimate developer platform built on SUI. Store. Okay, so I think this is their attempt to make it clear. Storage gigabytes of data at reasonable cost, so right size, right price. Always reliable, access your data anywhere, anytime, so that's great. Lightning fast, high performance reads and writes for any application. Provable, make every version of your data provable, traceable, and tamper resistance. So this is interesting because I do see now that this is exactly what they're trying, the message they're trying to get across here on what Walrus's main core competency is, their main value proposition. Okay, this is it. Very nice, very clean in a table, good graphics, nothing to complain about. Pretty good. Data you can rely on. So where do we use data? That's the question. And based on that, we can define its use case and how demand could increase, obviously, the use case, because ultimately there has to be some sort of utility, some sort of software solution to a problem. And, that is obviously something that's been spoken about for so long. It's the hottest commodity out there at the current moment, more valuable than oil. And this is what this is all about. Ensure AI generated results are always trustworthy. Data economy, built open data marketplace, DeFi, verify online transactions in real time, and content and media. I think this is good. This is telling you exactly how you are able to use their infrastructure to, create an AI data economy, DeFi, and use it for content and media. That's good. Okay, so great stuff. Secured by Seal, Walrus with Seal provides a new level of data protection, confidentiality. Keep your data secure, access gated, and decentralized. Okay, interesting stuff. Well, ultimately, we want to see decentralization, no doubt. We know that decentralization comes in various ways. So let's kind of see where we go with this. Build with confidence, websites, images, documents, music, and ledger data, and all kinds of different stuff. So it's a storage solution, right? It's storage solution. Now, the question is it like other projects of the past where it's, immutable forever? Permanent type of scenario? Can it be, or can it also be one that is, dynamic, where it's literally treated as a cloud-based storage system but decentralized? That's definitely something that we could see Web 2 utility transfer over to Web 3 utility and still become very profitable in the sense that Walrus has the opportunity to generate revenue here because we already see revenue models in Web 2 that are doing great. Obviously, the major players in our data sphere, the Google Clouds, the AWSs, the Azures, all these guys are doing great with regards to their business model. Walrus is trying to tap in, obviously, but using a Web3 tech stack. Interesting stuff. Real apps, real impact, what our partners are saying about building with Walrus. So again, partners building with Walrus. we have to understand that these could be partners, but they also could just be relationships. I'm going to be very clear here because partners is in this space, in this industry, is used very, very loosely. And I want to just make sure a strategic partner is one thing, and a relationship, a working relationship where a development team is using their infrastructure to develop an application is not necessarily a partnership per se. Okay, it is a great relationship, no doubt, but a strategic partner would be one of which that is helping Walrus build upon its current product offerings, not using um, using Walrus's product offerings. You get what I mean? So I'm not trying to downplay this because it is valid to see great, teams building. We have right here the founder and CEO. Our collaboration. See, this is important. Even this language here, our collaboration with Walrus empowers developers to build applications. So we have a team that is building applications here and collaborating in that front with Walrus. Talus AI agents can seamlessly store. So Talus is an AI agent, application that is built and using Walrus as its storage to retrieve and process data on chain. Okay, this is it, powering their developers. So this is good. Baselight is building in permissionless data economy. So again, and Walrus provides a decentralized data management layer that makes it possible. And this is from the CEO. Good stuff. Great, use case of Walrus. Okay, not necessarily partnership situation. Just throwing it out there. Catch up on the latest news. This is something that I appreciate that Walrus does. They do have a news page, they have a blog, they have a couple other things, and I appreciate that because, as you can see, communication is key. And ultimately, being able to educate the market or educate the retail investor about what Walrus is building allows them to feel confident about what Walrus is, and ultimately, greases the wheels and gets people interested in allocating capital. Okay, so it is what it is. Let's keep on going down, see all the news. We'll get there. I think I have a tab open there. Join the worldwide Walrus community, guys. Of course, they got all kinds of different things. Use apps built on Walrus. They already do have some apps. You know what? Let me open up this tab just in case I don't already have it open. Connect online in real time. Their Discord is there. I've been on there. It's pretty good. There's action. Meaning there's activity. And I was able to ask a few questions. Unfortunately, didn't get them answered. Maybe they were too, let's say, heavy, because a lot of times, of course, when you're doing deep dives and you're trying to untangle some of the ambiguity, some of the questions could be heavy. I did and ask if they wanted me to DM instead, so we can get some of this, some clarity on some of the questions I may have. And I didn't think they appreciated the heavy hitting questions, but it is what it is, guys. I do the hard lifting. I do all the hard work to produce this video for you guys so that we can, ultimately make better decisions. Okay, guys, so let's keep on going on. By the way, now that I have your attention, I do have a timestamp below if you want to get straight into the summary of this video alongside that infographic that I do release. It's going to be released all over the socials, guys, so it's a great way to get that summary and have that infographic in your back pocket, just in case you want to remind yourself about what Walrus is, given that there's so many projects nowadays. Meet us in person. They have some events and so on. What's good news is that they're fully doxed. Okay, fully doxed, and we'll talk about the team and all of that. Guys, bear with me. We got a bit to talk about. So yeah, the footer is great. You got lots of links. Walrus token, this and that. You can see their schedule. The network release schedule seems to me to be like almost like an alternative to a roadmap, which I don't really see an official roadmap, to be honest, something that I could feel confident in to say, you know what, I know where Walrus is going, but they do have a release schedule, which I'll show you in a second. Blog and deflation. There is a burn mechanism. I'm curious about what that is. I'm just curious what that's all about. All right, they also have a white paper that I would encourage if you're if you're techie and you really understand the mechanics behind blockchain technology, and you have a bit of a background in computer science, maybe a bit of physics, this and that. It will definitely help you understand and be able to read this white paper. I'll give you a sneak peek on what I'm talking about because it's very intense. Now, by the way, guys, this deep dive is not necessarily a tech deep dive. I just want to make that very, very clear. This is a crypto deep dive in the sense that I'm focusing on Walrus as a crypto that has issued a token. This is not about physics and computer science here, although it could easily get to that level. This is from a retail perspective. The average retailer is not a physicist or a computer scientist. So we got to keep it real here, and it's up to Walrus to really provide the information from a retail perspective. This is why I focus on that. Okay, so let's continue on. I did open that link with regards to their apps and to explore what they got going on here. You can see they got some meme. This is something that was being pushed around this week. Humanity Protocol. This is something that's been doing pretty good lately. Elisa, the agentic operating system. That's pretty interesting. Of course, this is one when we got the AI agents lingering around about last year or the beginning of the year. Yeah, we saw a bit of a surge within the narrative. It did come down, and now we're seeing a bit of resurgence once again on the AI and the AI agent front. But I feel like this wave of AI agents are going to be actually properly done, not proof of concept. So this is important. Connecting markdown workflows and real world assets and lots of good stuff here. Very, let's say, young projects, but many of them. As you can see, AIONet has been around, another DeepIn protocol. So do a bit of research and see exactly how these projects are, using Walrus, and you can see the seal and so on and so forth. So they're very young and very small, but it is what it is, guys. We know. We'll talk about the Pudgy Penguins in a second, because yes, the Pudgy Penguins does use Walrus for decentralized storage. Maybe not the penguins themselves, right? But other media and other stickers and things, promotional content that they got going on as far as NFTs go. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. But good stuff overall, guys. Look at all this. Few little applications currently being used here. So good stuff. Let's move on. What else do I got here? Here we talk about. Oh, this is the one that I just opened up. The deflationary. This is interesting. WAL is deflationary by design. With each transaction, WAL is burnt, becoming more valuable with each data upload. Okay, so so this is key, on Walrus will burn WAL, the network native token. So when is soon? It's coming soon. This is something that's very, very difficult for a person like me, because it's hard for me to say, yes, it's going to be deflationary when all we have is a promise of soon. Right? We gotta trust the team to a degree, right? But is this a faith-based, trust-based system? I don't like it to be that way. I don't want to treat it like a Web2 application. I don't want to treat it like an investment in a typical, Web2 project. This is not the case. Everything has to be systematic. And in this case, if there is no system that is based on smart contract, then there has to be some sort of governance. And that leads into my next conversation about utility on WAL and the governance model that they currently have in place, and so on and so forth. Because as usage increases, WAL will become scarcer and costs will remain transparent. That's the case. We appreciate burning mechanisms, right? Because when we talk about tokenomics, we talk about the fact that there is a max supply. Let's just quickly go there, because we're slowly transitioning here into tokenomics, as you can see, based on the flow of this deep dive. We can see that the market cap is $332 million market cap. We're at fully diluted at $1 billion. That's big, of course, but we're almost. You can see that the max supply is 5 billion, and the current circulating supply is 1.5. Okay, so it is what it is. You can see that there's a good portion of tokens that still need to be released, but there is a max supply, and when you apply a burning mechanism, you're basically going to suggest that this number is going to go down over time, making the diluted value a lot better, in the sense that decreasing supply will generally increase the price, keeping all things stable. You get what I mean? So it's about supply and demand, and the effect of supply and how it affects the price is all dependent on, at minimum, demand holding steady. So it is a good thing to have a burn mechanism. The thing is that when mechanism, right? So that's cool. Without a roadmap, it's very, very difficult to know when. And it could be that we're just waiting. This is pretty cool. I didn't notice this. I like that. I like the design. Back to their marketing just for a sec. You gotta admit, it's pretty cool. It's very nice. It's tastefully done. I'll admit. I just hope that it doesn't get you know let's say overdone, in the sense that people are over it, and then it's hard. Traditional sometimes is better because it could linger a lot longer without it expiring, let's say. But this is pretty cool. I kind of like it now. It's warming up to me a lot more as I hang around the Walrus website and their whole ecosystem. All right, guys, so let's move on. Let's see what's going on here. We got this page right here. I was kind of scrolling through, and I'm like, size your piece of the AI era. Our requests for proposals seek solutions that unlock full potential of Walrus. So there's some sort of proposal governance system or proposal system. We're looking for bold ideas, tackling specific needs, outlining in our request for proposal backed by the team who can bring them to life. So they're asking for an application, evaluation, final selection, and then launching. Ready, set, build, start developing, and granted awards based on agreed upon milestones. So they're taking on people, that are interested in building, and they'll give them a grant and they'll give them some support, almost like a launch pad of sorts. And you can figure out if your eligibility and so on and so forth. So pretty good. That's good. Supporting ecosystem growth, supporting community, supporting ultimately the growth of Walrus and its overall utility. So that's great. Introducing WAL. Okay, so this is where things get more in line with what we're doing here today, is a deep dive. Like, so far, we just are wrapping our mind around what is Walrus. But what is WAL exactly? Well, WAL is a token on the SUI ecosystem. Ticker is WAL. It's a native token for Walrus. And you can see that, they give, instead of using a Git book, it's just part of their website, which is fine. I appreciate Git books. They're a lot more dynamic and all of that in order to keep up to date and so on and so forth, more traditional and more, it looks a little bit more professional per se, but they give you some good information here, no doubt. So let's see what they got here. Walrus economics and incentive mechanisms anchored by WAL token. Okay, you get payments. WAL is a payment token for storage. So if you're looking for storage, you use Walrus, the WAL token, to actually engage and make that transaction. So it's a payment mechanism designed to keep storage costs stable in fiat terms and protect against long-term fluctuations in the WAL token price. So it is what it is. If you want to use it for to buy storage, that's what you got you covered here. The WAL token distribution includes 10% allocation for subsidies intended to support the protocol's adoption in its early phases. So those subsidies are meant to help, development and help growth and all of that, guys. We'll talk about the overall tokenomics in a second. And then security, delegation, staking of WAL tokens underpins Walrus security. So of course, the nodes they have staking capabilities, and that secures the network. This is very typical proof of stake structure. Nothing here. And obviously, if a node doesn't behave correctly, there is slashing enabled on Walrus, and within this mechanism, there's an added burn to that. And then we talk about governance, and unfortunately, there's no details here, but governance for the Walrus adjusts the parameters in the system and operates through the WAL token, in the sense that if you're a holder, you should be given entitlement for governance. The problem is at the current moment, again, the current state of this governance, according to my understanding and the communications that I had on their Discord, governance is only applied currently to the node holders. Token holders are not able to currently participate in governance. Now, it could be just a temporary rollout phase, and eventually it will get there. So it is what it is, guys. Take it as you will. Okay, so it is. That's that. WAL burning, again, that burning mechanism, it said it's coming soon. It will be deflationary and will introduce two burning mechanisms. Okay, short-term stake shifts will be subjected to penalty fee. So this is typical. Stake shifts in Walrus, noisy short-term shifts stake produce a negative externality on the network, since the required data is to be shifted around. So this is how it is, guys. You're going to get a bit of almost like a slash there. Staking with low performing storage nodes, obviously a slash again. If your nodes are not doing well, you're going to get penalized and so on. But this slashing concept exists amongst a lot of nodes in this space. It's not unique to Walrus per se. Once implemented, again, once, we don't know when, wall burning will create a deflationary pressure on wall token in service of the Walrus protocol, reinforcing the network's performance and security. So not only will it become deflationary, but based on this punitive measure, this punitive approach, it should encourage, again, using the stick, not the carrot here, it should encourage, well, maybe a combination of both. It will encourage people or the nodes to, run at the best, most optimal way. In that case, improving Walrus altogether. Okay, so that's good. Token distribution. Walrus is committed to driven protocol, and such WAL distribution was designed to align with the whole ecosystem core. Over 60% of all WAL tokens are allocated to the Walrus community through airdrop subsidies and community reserves. So this is the token. You can see this is the whole tokenomics of the current state. It is what it is. Now let's jump right into here because I know a lot of us want to see this. This is where, we start talking about WAL tokens will be distributed. How? Okay, and this is where I start to get very critical about things. And it's not just Walrus. I do this on all my deep dives. You guys know that I've been releasing over 130 deep dives at this point, and I've seen my fair share of distributions, and I've seen my fair share of intent, their intent to be fair. And I'll be honest, their intent is there. I can see it. Community reserve, 43% to the community. Okay, so it's available at launch with their linear unlock. So there's a vesting schedule all up until 2033. So these tokens essentially that are meant to be distributed to the community for various incentives, as you can read there in that paragraph. But what's most important that we highlight that they will be allocated or administered, the key term. And this is one of the questions that I had for the team, and unfortunately nobody answered me. But it is what it is. They would be administered by the Walrus Foundation. Now, who is the Walrus Foundation? Now, again, it could be the team, it could be early stakeholders, it could be your, VCs, part of, who knows who's part of the foundation at this case. Let's assume it's the core team at this current moment. Why? Because if the foundation, let's say, was governance and was a DAO, then things would be a little bit easier because as tokens get released, there's this capital that is floating around, and the token holders can propose where this capital gets allocated, whether it gets burnt, whether it gets this or that, or sent to a marketing department or whatever the case may be. You get my point. Right now, it's just there, and we gotta assume that the Walrus Foundation is going to act in the best interest of Walrus and the growth of the project. This sounds, very typical for a new project. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's move on. What is the other sections here? We got 10% right here for Walrus user drop. It's only 10%, so we're not going to worry too much about it. But 4% for pre-mine, 6% post-mine, fully unlocked, already in distribution. Okay, move on. That's fine. 10% for subsidies, unlocks linear over 50 months. This proportion is used to subsidize payments offered to storage nodes as the fee base grows. So to subsidize the nodes, and it's only 10%. And we know that in a proof of stake ecosystem, we need to support the node holders as well. So, they have a bit of a subsidy right there. And then you have 30% right here for core contributors, which is the team. And then we could talk a little bit about this because you can see they have early contributors, which is 20% for year unlock with 1 year cliff, which means after 1 year, they start to get their 4-year unlock. Okay. And then, so it's going to be a gradual release. And then they got 10% for Mistin Labs. Mistin Labs. Who is Mistin Labs? And this is important because we would want to differentiate the difference between the early contributors and Mistin Labs. Okay, so 50 million WAL available at launch with linear unlock until March 2030 for Mistin Labs. Now, this is important because obviously this is the core team. This is what we're talking about here. These are the core contributors to the project, the ones that are building the project. We have to believe, we have to agree that these individuals have to get paid. Let's be real. Let's just be honest and open. They got to eat, right? They're working, they're building, they got to get some sort of contributions, rewards for their contributions. No doubt. But Miston Labs is probably the most interesting thing here for those of you that don't know who they are. Okay, so we're going to be talking about them in a second, but just keep in the mind out of this 30%, they will be getting 10%, and then there's another 20% to other contributors to the core contribution. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's not that bad, it's a little bit aggressive, just a little bit, okay, but it's not that bad. Okay, so and then you got the investors. This is another this is the problem here. When you're looking at the investors now, technically speaking, they have the same, should have the same incentive of the core contributors in the sense that they're early stakeholders. They're here to build from the ground up, right? And they're building and building, just that the investors are usually only contributing capital, right? So let's talk about what this is. Unlock in 12 months for the mainnet launch. This portion is reserved for investors in Walrus, usually financial investors, not human capital or any type of investor, usually financial. So in this case, 37% is for early stakeholders. You got the community reserve that is for the foundation, which I believe, again, don't quote me on this, but I wasn't able to get any clarity there. But typically, the foundation is, a board run by the core team, and then we got Walrus user drops and subsidies. So, if you kind of look at this now, based on this, pie, you have to make some critical decisions, and we have to, be able to synthesize, what is the decentralization of this token distribution. It is what it is, guys. I'm going to leave it up to you to make your decisions. This deep dive is for information only. And again, just trying to untangle and trying to make some clarity here. So far, I like their whole intent of making it a community-based project. It is ideal to see such things like that. Okay, so it's great on that part. Okay, let's move on. WAL token release schedule. This is their release schedule. You can see March 2026, which is around the corner, guys. It is what it is, right? So, sorry, you can see that March 2027, sorry, my bad, based on timing, we're basically getting into a very aggressive portion of the distribution. And as we see the markets, okay, and we're going to talk about macro here for a second because we're talking about charts and evaluation. As we see the total market cap rise, if we are continuing a bull run here, it's no doubt to me that Walrus will be able to attract its fair share of that total market cap. Which means that when we do get into a bear market, you have to understand that there's going to be a lot of people and some profits. We're also expecting Sui as an ecosystem to pull its own weight and bring these projects to light and so on. One would argue it's the projects built on Sui that are going to bring Sui to light, right? Because they do all the heavy lifting. Let's be real. They bring the utility to the table for Sui. Walrus is doing a big service for Sui. So that's important to understand. And it is what it is. Okay, so you can see all these different allocations, and we see that the early contributors ramp up really, really hard right here. Community reserves do also, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's keep on going down. That's it. That's the footer. That's the the tokenomics and such. And then if we kind of go in here, you get a little bit more details on these tokenomics. You can see the overall vesting schedule and the unlocks. Right now, what we're looking for is more of this continuation of community reserves being issued. Miston Labs continues to get paid over time, and the subsidies do also. But like I said, as we enter the March 2027 zone, area right into here, and March 2026, we started getting these unlocks right around here. You can see that ultimately we have a bit of a ramp up here with these extra unlocks or extra categories. Okay, it's important to understand that these categories are behind the vesting schedule. We're not trying to bring negativity on this, but this is the way things work here in this space, right? You need to have a healthy balance of capital that enters the space. At the same time, there has to be some capital to deal with, and that's where the VCs comes in, right? So you could see 2025, and we're leading into the new year of 2026. And as we see that ramp up into 2027 and so on, we're going to start to see a lot of tokens getting emitted. But right now, it's all under control on a very clear vesting schedule, bit by bit. As of now, we're seeing about 0.07 of the market cap, which is unlock of 1 million. 0.02 of the max supply gets unlocked November. You can see there's an unlock every single day, a small portion of an unlock. You can see very small amount every single day. And you can see how the wheel kind of just increases over time. And remember, there's a burning mechanism that they plan to issue very soon. Okay, so that's pretty cool. At least we got some transparency here. We understand that new projects work like this, guys. It's not just Walrus, all right? Let's move on. Let's take a look at their ecosystem real quick, see what they got. We touched upon it a little bit already. Projects now live on Walrus. You know, it's a variety of L1 blockchains that are using this DPIN infrastructure as well that they can. We got Pudgy Penguins, of course, the most successful NFT brand of all time. I would beg to differ, but it is what it is. I'm not going to say it isn't. It is successful. No doubt, but based on its current popularity, guys, it's definitely nice to see a project like this right here. Tusky, Web3 storage for everyone. Cool. Good stuff. Open Gradient Research Labs. Okay. Decrypt, next gen media outlet, navigating in section of culture and technology. In technology, seeing the culture and technology meet together in that, you know, basically intersection is great. Okay, so L1 blockchain for hyper connected real time apps. So we even seen L1s use this. Very interesting. You know, it is what it is. Even Plume, another first blockchain purpose for built for real world assets, a hot narrative as well, and some other you know, NFTs and other little applications here. Good stuff. Their ecosystem is young. They're going at it, guys. No doubt, they're going at it. So just you know, just keep in mind. Now, I just wanted to show you their actual white paper here. It's very technical, guys. So I don't blame you if you don't want to get into it. Look, like you get mathematical physics equations and blobs, and that's definitely blobs are definitely part of their course tech stack, which we'll talk about briefly in the summary. Because again, you know, we're talking about a technology, no doubt. And the programmability of their blobs is what makes things interesting for those of you that are going next level other than storage, because I feel like that's where they're going to end up going, the Arweave route, in my opinion. But it is what it is, and it's not just a Filecoin type of competitor. It could also start going into utility and use case beyond just file storage. And these are all capabilities brought to us by their tech stack and their design and their engineering behind it, guys. And I'm not gonna look at this. I'm not going to get into this, guys. If you're this type of person that wants to know about their algorithm and all of this client, all this detailed algorithm, go for it, guys. Go for it. The more knowledge you have, the better it is. But I'm going to keep this real with Web3. Okay, so it is what it is. If you want to look at their wallet distribution, top holders, if you can see top 5 holders do hold a lot. Typical of a new project. Very, very, very typical, given the fact that we have to understand that all those tokens that we talked about still need to get emitted, and in the meantime they're held into custody on a wallet, and the wallet eventually is going to emit bit by bit. So if you want to know more about these wallets, unfortunately it's not clear which wallet belongs to what category, and so far that transparency would be epic, you know, and a Git book with all these details that I'm speaking about here today would be very beneficial for transparency purposes. Some scanners do have like a bit of an icon that say it's a contract, and or even it belong in some details where it belongs to and who's the, you know, is it a multi-sig wallet that belongs to the team, that is this the ecosystem one, or you know what I mean. So just some transparency, but you can see that it's heavy loaded on the top end, and I can imagine that these are the wallets described in the tokenomics there in the distribution. Okay, so it is what it is, guys. Want to take more time into that, go check it out. It does kind of worry a little bit, but it doesn't worry for me necessarily, because we understand new projects have this type of distribution in the beginning anyway, until they get fully diluted. Walrus Network released on schedule. So the truth is that they don't have a typical roadmap. In fact, one may argue this is not even a roadmap. Why? Because there's no roadmap really here. We're talking about November, what they want to complete in November, which is great. You can see test nets, and this, and different versions, and this and that, and that's about it, guys. That's all you're getting. So you can see that this week they got some testnet releases, which is awesome, and that's all you're really getting. You're not getting any more detail with regards to what they're doing going forward. You get a bit of a description, and that's about it, guys. So, it's hard. I understand from a development team perspective, it's hard to put your money where your mouth is and say, you know what, by the end of the month, we're going to have XYZ. Then the end of the month comes, it doesn't happen, to the hour, and then price starts fluctuating, the FUD starts permeating throughout the market. I do truly understand the reservation of putting time, but at least quarterly basis of sorts, it would be great, so that we know where the capital is being allocated. I'm not only talking about financial capital, but human capital. Okay, so it is what it is. Transparency with regards to roadmap would be great. The good news is we're getting into socials bit by bit, because if they're communicating, the roadmap, as they're going along, it's a good subsidy. It is a good alternative. Okay, so let's say collective memory partners with Walrus build the future of social networks on chain. You can see they got something here: November 7th, October 29th, October 22nd, Humanity Protocol. This has been a bit of a trending project lately. Eliza OS, which is AI agent, project, October 16th. So we're seeing, okay, we're already in November, and the only one that they got going for November is this one right here, but it's fairly active, it's fairly up to date. I appreciate that. A lot of times I see blogs and news outlets that are dead, and there's like nothing posted for years. Kudos to Walrus for keeping up with this, educating their community, keeping them up to date with what's happening now, instead of trying to talk about what's happening in the future with the roadmap, but at least they're talking about what's happening now. And some may argue that this is more valuable. Some. I don't think so. I would prefer an idea, again, a quarterly basis, an idea of where they're going, at least quarterly, but it is what it is. And they got more news and insights. And you can see, they have some posts here if you want to go check out all their announcements. Token now listed on Binance. Again, these are slightly older, I think, but and timing would be nice to be put in here. But it is what it is. They have all kinds of different posts, and their X account is doing great, guys. It's really engaging. As you can see, we're slowly getting to the social aspect of things here. They got about 429,000 followers, which is great. We're giving them a follow, of course, and we're looking at what they got. You got to admit, their meme coin marketing is great from the engagement perspective, guys. Look how nice this is. It looks great. Colors are good, bright, and you can see Walrus Hollow Hackathon is live. So hackathons are a great way to engage with communities and create that buzz and interest. And you can see in 10 days, force tracks, and a whole new frontier of on-chain innovation. Here you go. You got all kinds of seals here hanging out with Walrus, and a hackathon going on. So guys, check it out. Blob the Builder, that's pretty cool, wants you to join the hackathon. So go check it out. They want you. Go check them out if you're interested. Imagine if your camera roll had a blockchain. That's what I would really, that's what we're waiting here for this space, to be honest, is a decentralized social media platform. And I think that, we haven't had a first mover advantage from any project out there. And it's mostly because of storage. Personally, I think it's because of storage. Obviously, even the infrastructure for processing and the backend, the infra behind, the decentralized social media type of platform is necessary in order for it to move on to the point that we need even decentralized domains and decentralized everything. So as we see Web3 build, guys, we're going to start to see a lot of this happen. So try to stay one step ahead of the curve here. Pretty good stuff. They got lots of socials. Rememe, this is something that they're just coming out recently. Think your meme can survive on chain? Prove it with Walrus. Rememe challenge. Make your best Walrus meme on Rememe and win Walrus. Top 10 funniest, most tipped memes get $25 each. Pretty good. Okay, so get engagement with the community. You got to admit, that's great for social media engagement. Let's move on. Let's see what else they got here. I was talking about some partnerships, or let's call them, let's be very neutral about them, relationships. Okay, so Telus Labs uses Walrus to record every AVA game log on chain, in their AI prediction, building trust in prediction AI. Good stuff. If you're interested in what that relationship is, there's a lot of details here on the Walrus X account. Read your recent blog to learn more about what Plume is doing on Walrus. Okay, so what is Plume doing on Walrus? You can see there's a whole description here. This is what I like to see. And in addition to that, on their main page where they have, if they have the Plume logo, they should link to this paragraphs or this description as to what they're doing. Plume will implement Walrus protocol as the default blob storage solution on Plume's mainnet blockchain and all applicable applications within its ecosystem and affiliates. So again, we're talking about these blobs. Just think of blobs as a unit of storage. Okay, and this unit of storage, which are the blobs, these blobs can be programmable. And we're going to start to see this transition between just storage to also programmable storage, executable storage. And that's where we're going to start to see the deepen aspect of Walrus flourish. Okay, so good stuff. Plume, it's a bit of a trending project in the last little while. So it's nice to see that we're seeing some good relationships here. What else do we got here? We got Pudgy Penguins. For those of you that are fans, are now storing all their stickers and GIFs on Tusky Tools, powered by Walrus. Decentralized, beefy, and unstoppable. Pretty cool. So again, Pudgy Penguins is the current meme of choice for a lot of individuals, which is cool. They got a great community. Artwork is nice, all of that going on. But then again, these relationships are what bring to light the value propositions behind Walrus. And to see Pudgy Penguins involved here is great. A lot of us would call this bullish, right? Let's keep on going on. We got another NFT project called Claynosaurus or something like that. So sorry for butchering, but this is how it is. You see a decentralized ways of storing your NFTs, and we know that NFTs are not decentralized if you're putting them on AWS or anything like that. They got to be decentralized full on, meaning even the images got to be on some sort of decentralized protocol. IPFS is the go-to. Now, are we going to have any other solutions? Does Walrus use like an IPFS infrastructure? It uses their own. So it is what it is, guys. There has to be a level of understanding of what NFTs are and how we can leverage decentralized storage solutions in an NFT for NFTs in general. Remember, the NFTs of the past were just proof of concept. We are now seeing the future of NFTs come to the forefront. Okay, it is what it is. Let's keep on going. We're on a roll here. Let's take a look at what the team is all about. So the team in general, so I went on their LinkedIn. I'm proud and happy to see that they have a LinkedIn page, and we got a few members here. As you can see, there's not many. Show more results. You can see there's not many listed. Okay, so we just got to be real about that. These are individuals that are directly related to the Walrus Foundation. Okay, so you're getting just a taste of what the team is all about. I just want to quickly just scroll through this so you can see. Okay, so we got a big fan here. We got a co-founder, a creative director, a big fan, and we got blockchain marketing operations. Okay, innovation, strategic. Okay, integrated brand. Okay, you get what I mean, growth, and so on and so forth. Now all of a sudden we can start going into here, and we can start seeing that this is the actual Walrus team. And who are these individuals? Note that they also have LinkedIn pages, and these individuals are not on the Walrus Foundation LinkedIn page. Now, who are these people? Okay, so Evan Chang, Sam. I'm not going to go through all of these because I'm going to butcher their names for sure. But these are the heads or the major, let's say, drivers, the core team behind Walrus, but also the main drivers and core team behind Sui. So one thing that I didn't get from their website is that Walrus technically is a native application on Sui, in the sense that it comes across as a third-party application because it's marketing and everything's different, and you can see that there's no mention of the Sui team other than just give me a second here, guys. Then Miston Labs. So as you can see, this is Evan Chang, co-founder and CEO at Miston Labs. Okay, so you can see that right here. Now, this individual, right, if you see Miston Labs, okay, so on and so forth, these are the people behind Sui. Okay, this is something to understand. It's because they've also created Sui. And if you keep on going, again, I'm just going to quickly look at what he's offered here, what he's all about. You can see supporting Navi research systems, okay, director engineering, programming, languages, and runtimes at Facebook, Apple. Guys, these are engineers, big institutions nowadays. Computer science and math and this and that, and computer science at Syracuse University. Guys, very educated, very well qualified individual here on Miston Labs. Okay, let's just keep on going. I'm going to prove my point real quick here. We got Sam working on Sui. Just want to make sure you guys understand that this is the Sui team as well. Okay, these are core contributors to the Sui L1. Okay, so the creator of Move. These are heavyweights, guys. We're talking about, look at this. Miston Labs again, CTO, principal engineer at Meta, research assistant, University of Colorado, Facebook, Microsoft. Guys, this is it. Are we bullish on the team? This is a question that you could ask yourself. Another one, Miston Labs, of course. We start talking about co-founder and CPO at Miston Labs. And then if you scroll down, you can see co-founder Miston Labs. We got, again, Meta, head of product at VMware, architect at blockchain cloud platform at Oracle, and so on and so forth. You look at their engineering, electrical and electronics engineering, and so on and so forth, guys. Lots of talent, heavyweight talent. Let's keep on going. I'm just going to try to do this quick. This is the experience of this dude right here, George. Let me just go back to his main page. This guy, I had to look into more of what this guy's an engineer, very qualified engineer. Okay, so as you can see, many years of experience, Facebook and so on. I even got into more of his guys. All these individuals are very qualified individuals, and again, another one, Costas Cryptos. Guys, keep on going down. You see where he's been, again, cryptographer at Meta, and so on and so forth. So what we can conclude here, okay, what we can conclude is that the Walrus team, the Walrus core contributors, if you look at their tokenomics, they are separated into two. We're separated. Let me see if I can get back to that chart real quick, because I think that might be valuable. Deflationary by design. I think it's right into here. Oh, was that? Maybe. Now let's go back. Right, discover WAL token. Got all my tabs all over the place now, guys. This right here. So what I was referring to is the core contributors, which is the purple. Where was that chart? Right here, core contributors. You can see 20% early contributors, okay, and 10% Miston Labs. So Miston Labs are those heavyweight individuals, okay, and they're part of the Sui team. They are the Sui team, core contributors, right? So this is good. Now we also seen who are the other ones. Now early contributors, we don't know. We have no idea, but we know that, you know, we have those individuals here that were described. These guys right here, guys, they're all over this thing. So if you appreciate that, this is a real value proposition for Walrus. Okay, guys, it is what it is. We did a pretty good job here understanding what a Walrus is and basically what they have to offer. As you guys know, I do release an infographic every time I do a deep dive. If you want access to this, guys, it's going to be all over the socials right after I post this video. So feel free to download it and check it out. It's going to be high quality where you can zoom in and zoom out and use this going forward as a cheat sheet. But as you can see, there are some good things that I see here for Walrus. Very interesting things. Number one, the ecosystem. We're going to talk about the red stuff and the blobs right now. Let's do that right now. Let's just quickly, I just put them in here on the verdict because I felt like, okay, it's very important to understand. So red stuff is reassure coding, a custom two-dimensional erasure code that minimizes storage overhead while ensuring data recoverability. So it's part of their core tech stack. Okay, you have to understand that in the structure process through which data is encoded is basically a blob. Okay, you have to understand a blob is a unit of storage. Okay, so it is distributed to nodes. Nodes hold these blobs. They are retrieved when needed and maintained over time. And then the red stuff is a structural approach to how the code is minimized in order to minimize storage. Okay, so This is important. Okay, so let's just go back to talking about their ecosystem in itself has a lot to do with this tech stack. Now, I could say their ecosystem has a lot to do with projects that are using the Walrus project. I would say that that is more of a relationship, which we're going to talk about in a second. But overall, I like the fact that Walrus not only is part of the SUI ecosystem, but their actual core competency doesn't require an ecosystem. They are infra. They support ecosystem growth. So this is why it's very difficult for me to actually apply, their ecosystem. They're the ones that are the base of all ecosystems. It's storage, guys. And going on forward, programmability. So let's talk about what the core use case for Walrus is. WAL, the token itself, payment for storage, governance is still kind of rolling out. Okay, we're trying to see how that plays out because the only individuals right now that can participate are node holders. Programmability, stored data becomes programmable. That's where I'm starting to see the future for Walrus, taking an Arweave approach and staking, of course, and the rewards from staking. It is what it is. 9 out of 10 there. I think we're going to see more of a rollout, and from that, a more maturity in the utility of the token itself. Roadmap, no official roadmap. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything in regards to that. Network release schedule is there. Remember, it's very limited and a lot of just current events and beta updates and so on. Milestone announcements on socials are everywhere, which I appreciate. Okay, so this is good. The team fully doxed. Sui Core Dev team, Miston Labs. We talked about that. Meta, Apple, Oracle, Microsoft, and more. Guys, the team is stocked. Yeah, they're definitely, they have a lot of talent, lots of value there. If you're bullish, you're bullish. It is what it is. You make your decisions there. Socials, they have a pretty good engagement given the fact, given their numbers, 430,000 followers with moderate engagement, which is good. At least they're not under engaging in a market that is looking a little sloppy lately. So that's good. Usually when you have a sloppy market, you get a lot less engagement. But at this current moment, they're doing okay. Tokenomics, at the end of the day, there's a little bit of concern for the most part because of the core contributor and the linear release is 30%. Obviously, that's fine. But then you got the community that is administered with a foundation. What's up with that? Who's the foundation? Is any of it going to go through governance, and so on and so forth? But then you got these small portions: 10% airdrop, 7% investors, and 10% subsidies. But the majority of it, the beefy part of all of this, is above, where we start to ask ourselves, foundational approach: who calls the shots in the foundation? Although the team is very, very capable, does it represent Web3, in a decentralized fashion? Note that the burn mechanisms are also something that I am hoping to add to the tokenomic aspect of things as we start to see real concrete details about their burn mechanism going forward. Relationships, they got some great ones, guys. I couldn't add them all. I've just put the ones that I found most interesting. I could be wrong, but it is what it is, guys. I gave them 10 out of 10. Great relationships there for their size, for what they're building. Great relationships. You got Talus AI. I think AI is up and coming. Of course, it's a big narrative. Plume, up and coming blockchain as well. L1, small blockchain, but focusing on real world assets. Another great use case. Pudgy Penguins, lots of hype and buzz there. NFT craze and using their storage solutions for NFT media and all various assets that they may have. Guys, there's good stuff there. And then the exchanges, guys: Binance, Bybit, Mexi, KuCoin, and many more. And of course Bitnex, but ultimately, guys, no Coinbase at the current moment, and I expect lots of liquidity there, regardless of not being listed on Coinbase at the current moment. It is what it is, guys. So we got lots of possibilities here for Walrus. At the time of making the infographic, guys, we'd had a lot of volatility in the last little while, so I apologize if these numbers are not exactly perfect, but it is what it is, guys. Generally speaking, it's around 20 cents. They've been getting decent amount of volume, 8.5% of the market cap in volume. Which is pretty good volume versus its market cap. I appreciate its tokenomics at their current level. We have to understand that there is a vesting schedule that is going to control a lot of this, so that it doesn't get overinflated too quickly and causing that dilution in price, which is nice. And let's kind of summarize here with the verdict really quickly here. I apologize if this video is getting way too long, but guys, I take days and days to create these videos. So I hope you appreciate the fact that you can watch an hour-long video and get up to date pretty much on everything related to Walrus. It's an infra, storage, and SUI solution, right? And so far, we're seeing the SUI ecosystem grow. We're seeing SUI in itself, become one of the most prominent blockchains out there at the current moment using the Move language. Mainnet launch was March 27, 2025, so it's fairly new, as you can see. Clear vesting schedule, as I was suggesting. Node holders are the only ones that can participate in governance, something that we discussed already. Burning mechanisms, there's penalty fees and slashing for node misbehavior. We're expecting some more burning mechanisms in the future, and they are yet to be released. So we're just going to leave it at that. Red stuff we talked about in the blobs, part of their tech stack and how it operates, and their main points of differentiation in comparison to other storage protocols out there. And again, this is the whole nature of the game right now, how they can differentiate and attract their fair share of capital in comparison to their competitors, total market cap wise. Lots of good relationships on blog. You go check out their blog, guys. Tons of relationships, tons of little projects and things that they're working with. Walrus equals Miston Labs. Miston Labs equals SUI. So although it's not marketed as a SUI project, to be honest, even the core team behind SUI is not behind SUI per se. Miston Labs is the center behind both Walrus and SUI. So I find this very interesting, guys. Based on the fact that we have to see what Miston Labs is about. And as I showed you at face value, guys, there's heavyweights there, major careers, major intellects, influential individuals in the core space of developing Web3 applications. So if you're bullish, you're bullish. It is what it is. Uses meme marketing, but tasteful. So at first glance, meme marketing. Oh, another meme. Is this a meme? At first glance, to be honest, guys, when I was introduced to Walrus, I thought it was a meme. I hadn't. I passed judgment real quick, and that's the thing. That's my biggest worry. I see a walrus, funky looking, all bubbly looking, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's a meme. I'm not doing this again. Forget it, and you push it aside. Meanwhile, the actual project is great, right? They got lots of good stuff, right? And again, this is not financial advice. I'm not trying to, push it on you. I'm just saying, like, based on if you're gonna think that a project that looks like a meme has no utility, guys, think again. Walrus has something, so it's worth a deep dive. Okay, it's not just a meme that you're hoping on community inflows of capital. That's all you're really looking for. Either Walrus is overvalued or the narrative is underfunded. Okay, so this is something that I really want to put out there. Okay, because even if you looked at its major competitors, okay, the ones that are doing things similar enough to say that's their competitor, right? Because Walrus is going to say they have no competition. I respect that. I'm not trying to say that. At the end of the day, that's up to the market to decide, right? So I'm just going to throw it out there. The one project that I feel is similar enough to say that Walrus is kind of competing with is Arweave, right? And we could say Filecoin too, but nah, Filecoin is very basic, but does what it does well, right? But Arweave it is. They have a very similar mindset at the current moment. Now, at the end of the day, guys, what kind of projection would this be? A 1x? As what is this? And it's not because literally Walrus can't hit a 1x. Like, of course it can. But it's also about Arweave and other projects within the same narrative not catching bids either, not attracting enough capital to their decentralized storage narrative, right? This is the reality. So it's either Walrus is overvalued because it is evaluated at a market cap similar enough, close enough to a project that's been around for a while, which Arweave, is it that big of a market cap? Or is the narrative just underfunded? I think towards the latter. I think the narrative hasn't attracted much capital just yet, to be honest. And it could just be that we're waiting for one DePIN or infra or storage solution to really, really spearhead and get a first mover advantage. The most important thing that I think here would be to be a project that is chain agnostic, one of which that is basically can be deployed or be used across multiple blockchains. And that would allow the utility to be used everywhere. And I think that's very valuable. But ultimately, guys, I think that the whole narrative is so undervalued at the current moment because as we decentralize our applications, you got to ask yourself, where is the data regarding these applications going to be stored? If we create a decentralized website and we go and we get a domain that is decentralized and all of this, and we want to make a JavaScript application that has this and has that, are we gonna want to use a Web3 solution, or are we gonna host it on AWS? You got to decide. If it's a Web3 solution, well, guys, what is the answer to that? Well, we have a few, right? The few solutions right now, and Walrus is definitely one of them. So I feel like this is a very tough projection. I can see Walrus hitting $1. I don't see a reason why it cannot attract good capital, especially if we start to see a proper alt season run. The fundamentals are decent. There are some things that need to be improved. With a lot of great projects, there's always the case. You know, it is what it is. And there's always an opportunity for improvement, which means there's always an opportunity for some gains. Guys, it is what it is. Sui, pretty interesting. Guys, do your due diligence. Use this as a platform to continue doing your research, because it's super important that yeah, you continue informing yourself of what's happening next. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about price action as well. So let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the Walrus chart, because Walrus did fall below horizontal structures. And we defined those structures with healthy risk to reward ratio opportunities. And we've been talking about this structure on the live streams very frequently. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, ultimately, guys, it is what it is. This was the structure that I was focusing on. This was a nice sideways range that we needed to hold. It didn't hold. The risk to reward ratio gave you a great entry to cut your losses if it falls below. And unfortunately, guys, it fell below. And we defined this. This was very clear. Unfortunately, it wasn't accurate to the exact day, or the exact dead cat bounce, right? But we did come down and we broke below this neckline and we fell. And it was accurate enough to understand that if it falls below that horizontal, it's time to get defensive. And that's why it's important to always buy from a position of strength at bottom levels so you don't take a massive hit. Now that we've came down to lower levels, the question is, what makes this structure different from this structure? And is it worthy now for us to be reallocating our capital, especially if you stopped yourself out, reallocating our capital at these levels 40% cheaper? What does that mean to you? That should mean that you are able to now to deploy 40% more tokens based on the capital that you already deployed right into here, given that you took a small loss. Okay, just understanding that, which means that you're able to buy more tokens for the same price, 40% more. That's great. That's an opportunity, in my opinion. Now, does this mean that we can go sideways and keep on coming down? Anything is possible in this game. No doubt, anything is possible. But again, if you can apply another risk to reward ratio strategy where you're taking a small little loss, a very small little loss, and if we fall down, guys, take the hit on the chin and we get into another structure. And eventually, once this downtrend is over, guess where the target's going to be? All the way back here. And you're going to get paid, you're going to get paid, and you're going to get paid. On the reversal, coming back to these levels. And this is how traders are great losers, taking small losses, and big wins on recoveries. Okay, so super important analogy here, and strategy thinking here at the current moment. However, let's talk about what's really happening right now. Is this a valid time to start DCAing or to rebuild the position? 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. I wouldn't be left caught not buying any, especially with the fact that Sui in general, Sui as a project, okay, has been looking a little bit, how can I say, bottomish and looking for a bit of a surge. If Sui does well, Walrus will also do well. This volume right here, not the greatest. Looks like a lot of sell pressure. It does look like it didn't. It came down for a slightly lower low. It wasn't a big one, but the reaction to the upside was great. Good market participation here. Nice horizontal level to be able to play with clarity. And point of control is down here. And more importantly, guys, the imbalance above. Look at the volume gap right into here, guys. Look at this volume gap. When I see volume gaps like this, I see opportunity. I see the opportunity to see the price reclaim the previous price action with ease. Why? There's no resistance here. There's no emotions. There's no supply and demand into this level, right? Looking left, who's here? Nobody. Which means that if we can get even a higher low, and lower time frames might be better, if we can get a higher low, but more importantly, break and make a higher high, even if we come back test after, it's all good, guys. This is the level of where I would want to be positioned into this zone right here, assuming a stop loss is going to be placed. Let me just make this a little cleaner, guys. Let me just not be such a slob right now. If it does break below here, we have to understand that that's your invalidation. Breaks below, we get defensive. Start scaling out of your positions. If we break below, articulating back test, get out even more. You know, that's bearish. You know what I mean? And if we get volume induced breakdown, get out because you know the market participation is coming in hot. However, let's go into the 4-hour. If we start to see, okay, at least one manipulative event, okay, because obviously now this line on the, what was it, on the daily? I put it on the daily. Yeah, on the daily. So if this line on the 4-hour, let me just reintroduce that line again. You know, we define a range. The range could be right here. I'm just going to keep it loose right now because one may argue, you know, maybe the range is this and we got a swing failure or it's down here. Regardless, this is the range right now. I don't see a major swing failure, which means a sweep of the lows and then back up above and back test and spring. This would make me bullish because we know that, you know what, this was just an inducement, especially if we get divergence into that. And we get follow through to the upside, back test in spring, break above the tops, we fly through the imbalance. That's the long position. So what do you do here? The best time to get in is now, or to start looking for building a position. Buy a little bit here. Why? Just in case we don't get the swing failure. One thing that you have to know is that the market doesn't promise you anything, right? So you just need to be prepared for all possibilities. And that's why slowly building a position as the data unfolds is the best way to do it. So what I usually do is come down here based on the range. Risk to reward is best. I'm going to buy some. Spot, low leverage, very low risk scenario. Sweeps below, I see signs of weakness. I may buy some. That's fine. You're being a little bit of degenerate because if it comes up here and gets rejected, guys, that's bearish. But at least you can get out here. Especially if you bought here, you're going to be in a little bit of profit. And this entry, break even, get out, walk away, it's coming down. But what about if, hypothetically speaking, we get back above, close the daily candle, bonus, get in more, buy more right into that break. Back test, bonus, buy even more. Break above the previous high, even more of a bonus, buy even more. And generally what you're trying to do is build your position, not only within this range right here, right? Because it's a clear range that we have here right into this level. But more importantly, at the bottom of this range as best as you can. Why? Because when we get to the most important levels of this chart, especially from this range-bound price action, is the breakout moment. Once you get to the breakout moment, you won't care. Why? Because as breakout traders are sweating, trying to find an entry so they don't get wrecked on a rejection, you've already built at the bottom of the range and you're already in the green while individuals are sweating here as a breakout trader, right? And then the most important thing, what happens if it does break out? Well, not only are you still in profit, but you because you bought in from a position of strength, you have options. It breaks out. All good. Could it still be a swing failure? 100%. But you don't care. You take 10% off the top, you trail up the stop loss, you're in profit. If it backtests, all good. You don't care. Why? Because you're still in profit. Let it backtest. You already took a bit of profit. You can get back in on the backtest with that profit taking and go for another move to the upside. Guess what you do here? You trail up the stop loss even more and you take more profit. By that time, it already expanded through the volume gap and your trade is done. And this is the beauty behind not only buying from a position of strength, but also having a strategy to get defensive when it matters most, when you're breaking through critical levels, level by level. Don't try to be a fortune teller here, guys. Time-based theories in this cycle got wrecked. It's very difficult to be timing markets. Okay, so you got to understand that. Right now, what you got to look at is where's the liquidity at? where are there opportunities, and if there's an opportunity, am I willing to take a shot, and how am I going to play it so that the shot doesn't cost me a lot of risk. Risk is public enemy number one for a trader, guys. Do not be a gambler. Take appropriate risk with appropriate reward, and over time, you will be a sustainable trader. At the current moment, Synergy Signal is showing us a bit of volatility here. Let me just get this going on the daily and show you what I mean here. Sorry, as I get this positioned. We already got this oversold. You can see that. And we're slowly grinding to the upside, which means right now we're getting a divergence. Lower lows on the price action, candle bodies only, higher lows on the momentum, and also the expansions are moving to the upside with a confirmed Class A bullish divergence on trend oscillator. Guys, if you want to know more about this oscillator, I got links in the description below. It's called Synergy Signal. Go check it out. This is right now been killing it, guys. Killing it. Okay, I entered a short on Zcash that's been printing. I'm in profit already. No harm done there. All good. ICP, another short that I got into in the last little while. Perfect, has been printing. And overall, the Aptos pump, OP pump, a lot of little pumps in the last little while as we were trying to navigate this market. This indicator has been killing it. So go check it out. Links are in the description. But nonetheless, guys, right now, if you're looking for a great risk to reward ratio opportunity, patiently deploy as you get the signals. Okay, it is happening slowly. Pivot point structures take time. Don't get wrecked. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.